What up, everybody? Happy Friday. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. Welcome back. If you're a new listener, welcome. This week, welcoming back to the show, my good friend, Ryan Kovach. He stepped up last minute. My guest today was sick and didn't have a voice. It'd be hard to do this if you can't speak. You're still muted too, Ryan. We're both on mute today. Ryan's been on the show. This is maybe his fourth appearance now. Yep. Wonderful dude to talk to. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got his own company, hot in marketing and staffing, which we'll talk to. And instead of a message for the week, which I like to offer the nice profound thing for everybody to think about, this is from an NPR article from 2 weeks ago. And they refer to this as the Great Resignation. It said, this was mid-October. They said last week, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics announced that 4.3 million Americans, or 2.9% of the entire workforce. Somehow I think their math is off there.
Yep.
Quit their jobs. 4.3 Americans quit their jobs. Is that an exaggeration?
No, it's not. In fact, I think it's much larger. I think it's much larger than that.
They must be referring to 2.9% of like the global workforce, because that wouldn't be 2.9% of the American workforce, right? Or am I?
Well, I mean, maybe? If you've got maybe what? Yeah, because a couple 100 million workers. Yeah.
Okay,
it'd be the American workforce.
All right.
Today they're touting the big job numbers. That
I know.
We know what that is. That's Christmas and seasonal. It's all bullshit numbers. But, the U.S. needs a boost in almost every facet of our country in order to seem like we're even competitive at all. And so they're going to do whatever they can to play with numbers.
Yep. And get that clickbait. Those advertisers want that money too. So
correct.
They'll throw those headlines up.
Correct.
So you have 20 plus years experience in the staffing marketing industry. Can you explain for the guys and gals listening what that means exactly?
Yeah, so for about 24 years, so almost a quarter century, I have been in the staffing industry. Staffing companies, they employ a massive percentage of the U.S., the world workforce, but the U.S. workforce. Staffing companies like Adecco, Manpower, Kelly Services can make up, together can make up, probably 20-something% of the entire workforce in America. Staffing companies are used for a variety of reasons, limit liability, try before you buy type thing, obviously just standard recruiting, finding better talent, making it more efficient to hire, better onboarding, all kinds of reasons that staffing companies can be brought into the picture. So my clients have been staffing companies for, about 20 years. And then prior to that, I grew up in a staffing company. My parents owned one. So I've been around the employment numbers for a long time. And I've been around employment, and I've been around hiring, and I've been around resumes, and I've been around applicant tracking systems and the whole thing. So, feel like I have a decent understanding of it.
Yeah, that's great, because the gentleman I had scheduled to come on today is an employment lawyer, and we were gonna talk about another facet of this, but there's a lot of crossover that we can
Sure.
still discuss.
Sure.
So you, like you pointed out, you've been at this for about a quarter of a century now. You've been around to see some twists and turns.
Yep.
What are the biggest trends in staffing that you see, and how does that compare to like previous at least national debacles that like 2008, 2001, that kind of shit?
Yeah, well, like you said, 9/11, 2008, the dot-com bust, all these things, never in the history. So like right now, we have a record number of employers trying to hire and a record number of people on unemployment. That's never happened in my 24 years. Okay. it's always been a candidate or an employer market.
Mhm.
And it's always either been there's not any jobs and people are out of work, or there's a lot of jobs and everybody's working, so there's no people. Right now, we actually have both. We have a lot of jobs that companies are dying for people, and we have a lot of people that could take those jobs but are refusing to. It's the most insane thing I've seen.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that you think are the source of that?
Well, so I have a unique view on everything, probably a very unpopular view on everything, but I still think I'm right.
That's why you're here, baby.
Yeah. Well, look, let's just cut to the chase. At the end of the day, we have flipped everything on its head. The employee is now the customer. Employers are spending 4 times as much time trying to do employee candidate satisfaction versus customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is at an all-time low in our country. Just look it up. I mean, from every sector, from retail to service to everything, customer satisfaction has tanked. Customer service, customer experience, everything, from our utilities to our services to our retail to everything is at an all-time low. And if you look at it, it's the most bizarre thing. Typically, we get paid by customers. Now we are paying our customers and we call them employees. We're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars trying to figure out how to continue being the helicopter parents to millennials and Gen Zs and alphas, whatever the fuck you want to call them, right?
Is that the new one?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Right. We're spending billions and billions of dollars trying to figure out as employers how to linearly continue helicopter parenting in the workforce. Don't let anybody get hurt, bubble wrap them. Don't let anything be said that could be considered offensive. Experience, culture, to the point of it's nauseating. Okay. As a jiu-jitsu person going on your journey to black belt, that anything in the world that is worth having, kids, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, an education, anything, it doesn't matter, takes uncomfortable, hard, inconvenient, stressful, and painful journeys. As a country, we are literally trying to eliminate any aspect of being uncomfortable in the workplace. And we are going to see a backlash and a fall unlike anything we've seen before. Look at our United States military. For the last 20 years, we've been playing woke games instead of war games. In recent weeks, our military has gone from the most powerful, most respected, to everybody we're playing war games with is kicking our absolute ass, and it's not even close. And it's because of this garbage. And now we're taking it into the workforce. We will never see innovation like Apple or anything ever again if we do not, as employers and as senior leaders, as people, if we do not reverse this trend. You cannot be competitive. You cannot be innovative. You cannot dominate if you remove being uncomfortable.
That's a great example. Like, where would Apple be if Steve Jobs was subject to all this shit?
They wouldn't be. He would be excoriated online to this day and age through, Glassdoor and all of these things. They would never have gotten off the ground. He would be considered an absolute tyrant, misogynist, crazy lunatic, and he never would have ever been able to get off the ground in this current environment. I am telling you, and the sickest thing I think about all of this is the leadership in America kowtowing and virtue signaling this garbage. Because when you get off of podcasts and off of social media and you just talk to them on the phone, they say the exact same thing that we're saying, or that I'm saying. You're not saying anything that I'm saying, right? It's miserable. These people, are useless, absolutely useless. But they go and they still continue to spend tens of thousands of dollars trying to placate it, posting on social media about their culture and about their inclusiveness and about all of this bullshit that they don't believe in at all. And feeding into this. And in my opinion, I'm old. So, it sucks for my kids that we're leaving them this society, but I've made money. I'm doing well, and I will continue to do well, and I'll eventually, fade off into dust in the wind. But between now and that day, I'm just sitting back eating my popcorn. I'm literally Michael Jackson in the movie theater watching this epic fucking failure of an experiment that is going to send people into bread lines. You watch.
Yeah, I agree. I had a lot of conversations with business owners, and I'm fortunate to be in a very
those evil people.
Which evil people?
the business owners.
Yeah, the devils. The
guys.
people fucking everything up.
Yeah, the people that put their risk and their mortgages
Right.
and everything on the fucking line to give you a paycheck and a place to work to feed your family. Those evil people, is that the one you're talking about?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And it's funny, a lot of what you said is actually, a lot of these things have happened to me as a business owner recently, like personally. You're you're listing the play-by-play of what's happened, in the last few months. And I'm just like, wow, what the fuck happened?
Right.
But a lot of conversations, and I'm fortunate to be in a very, densely populated area with a lot of talent and a lot of people, and your neighbor will be just like a high level person at like a financial institution or whatever. So one conversation I had the other day, this lady's, I think she's probably been in finance for like 40 years. She works on Wall Street, very large company. She said they had 400 people. It's a big company, so 400 wasn't like detrimental, but 400 people quit. And it wasn't because of vaccine mandates or anything like that. They're just like going to go find themselves or something, going to go figure out their lives.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, keep going.
So, she said something similar to you. Because I was saying how, I'm struggling to get people to come to work. I was asking her what she thought, the reason people were leaving jobs were. And in some way, I think there were some people that certainly got squirrely with unemployment and they tucked it aside. They weren't going out as much. Maybe they're out of fear, whatever. But they've got enough money to coast right now. And they're going to take this opportunity to fill it out. But they're, not for nothing. Same for me. We're making hand over fist cash. I mean, we're doing great right now.
Fuck yeah.
It's amazing.
Doing awesome.
I got to do all the work, which kind of sucks.
It's hard and it's brutal, but my bank account absolutely reflects it.
Looking pretty. And so she was like, so consider this. And maybe in 6 months time, all those people that are spending the money at your place that have the free time and the money to burn, they're going to run out of money and not be spending it at your place anymore and places like yours. And then they're going to want to go back to work, but you're not going to need to hire them anymore because sales are down because they're not spending that money that they had put aside anymore. And then you don't need them. And it's going to cause a fucked up situation. And when she said it to me, it just kind of hit me. And I was like, whoa. And she was like, so if that grape is juicy right now, you need to squeeze it for all it's worth.
Absolutely.
And be smart yourself because this could really unravel. Before you pick up on that, we're going to take a break. I want you're just going to grab the reins when we come back, because I know you're ready to share it. So
yeah, man.
Hang tight, everybody. Come back, get this juice pumping. All right, everybody, welcome back again. The Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. Welcoming back to the show, Ryan Kovach.
Thanks, man.
Put out I dangled a little meat out for him at the end of that last segment. He's gonna run with it. Let's go.
Yeah. So you brought up, okay, look, man, you brought up the whole, they need to go find themselves. I've seen a lot of that, or, now's the perfect time,
It's
to go. It's neat. It's real cute. Right. I mean, for fuck's sakes, if you don't know who you are, that's cool, but you still need to eat. You still need to provide quality service to whoever is paying you. You still need to be there. If you look at things from the macro and the micro, I always talk about this to people that I'm close to when we're having our cigars and whiskeys, is I say, anything that's in the macro happens in the micro. If you look at, if I'm in a marriage and I am selfish and I am all about me, what can my spouse do for me? What can my spouse do every day to make sure I'm comfortable, good, and all of that? And it's just me. That marriage is not going to last, period. If I have friends, and as a friend, if it's all about me, what can my friends do for me? That friendship isn't going to last, right? Selfishness and me is actually, if you look at any world religion, not just Christianity, if you look at Buddhism, if you look at, Hindu, if you look at Christianity, Islam, anything, every world religion, every spirituality, whatever you want to talk about will tell you that a me mindset is poison, literally poison. You cannot break that just because it's an employer-employee relationship. What we are seeing is a me. What can you do for me? I've been seeing these little cute memes that are like, I went on an interview and the guy asked me, for 3 references. And I told him, no, motherfucker, you give me 3 references. Okay. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Right.
I do.
But the tone, we know what the tone is. The tone is shitty. There's another meme going around that says, I don't want your cute t-shirts and water bottles when I do something good. I want money. And I'm thinking, you're already getting a paycheck. They're already paying you money. What they're doing is recognizing you for something you've done, and they're giving you a gift card to Target or whatever, right? Like, it's a kind gesture, but it's the tone and it's the me. I'm telling you, Jeremiah, when I tell you, I am Michael Jackson in the theater eating popcorn. The pendulum always swings. Right. Always. And I don't want it to ever swing in a disfavor to somebody or in a disfavor to another person. I feel like balance, the pendulum should do this, not this, right? But the pendulum is going to swing so far back because industry will always find a way. This experiment that we are doing is going to fail on such a catastrophic way that I don't think these generations coming up understand. Number one, they're not looking at history, and they're not looking at this experiment that's already been done 1 million times in other countries that has led to figuring out, am I going to eat the cat tonight or am I going to eat the neighbor's cat? Okay. This mentality that we have is 1000% leading to that, and they don't even know it. They're setting their own trap, and shame on them. Sorry, that's just my opinion. No. That's my opinion.
I brought you on because I in some way our outlooks jive, and
there's a lot of great people out there. I've got great employees here that are young, ambitious, and all that. I know that there's some killer people coming up through the ranks. I do. The problem that we also have, Jeremiah, is cancel culture, fear of standing out and having a differing opinion. The ones that believe like us tend to stay more silent because there's backlash, there's reviews. They can go. I had a review hit happen to my company this past week. I cut a couple of people because they were fucking worthless, literally. I mean, when I say worthless, I'm talking fucking worthless. And overnight, I get review bombed by a bunch of fake accounts.
Yeah.
Literally fake. First and only review, all terrible, and this and that. And the cancel culture is big, it's real. And so because of that, most people that have our viewpoint keep their mouths shut, which is a humongous mistake.
Well, I think of it like jujitsu. There's always a time to attack, and the smarter you get, and the more strategic you get, your success rate goes up.
Correct.
So if I don't think there's any chance of like converting somebody, when you hear these conversations, and trust me, I hear them a lot up here.
Yes.
And I'm like, nothing I say is going to change this person's mind. I am just not getting into it. But the other part of it is like, and you pointed it out in other words, none of these people, they're afraid to lose. They're all afraid to lose. And when you take guys like you and I, we've already lost before. I've been beaten down.
Our bank accounts that we talked about earlier look like they look because of our losses.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just not afraid to lose. Like you want to cancel me, you want to strip everything. I mean, I'll be like Chappelle. I'll be like, I don't give a fuck. So take it.
I don't give a fuck.
Take it. Yeah. You can take the liability for it too. Good luck. I'd love to see what some of you do. Like you could give them all the successful pieces. Everything is running perfectly, and they will drive it into the fucking ground. And I see it over and over. And it's one of the reasons like now why I'm just so hands-on, because I'm like, I work too hard and I care too much about my business to just pass it off to somebody that's going to fuck it up.
That's right.
It's going well now, and it will continue to go well with proper training. And like you said, we don't want the pendulum to swing back necessarily so far the way it was, because 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't great,
it wasn't great. Work condition. Look, nobody is saying, let's go back to you get 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch, and you hear a bell go off and you better be fucking back at your seat. No one's saying that.
Yeah.
I grew up in that.
Yeah.
That sucked. That was, slave driver mentality. And there was nothing great about that, but we fixed that
a while ago,
a long time ago. Yeah. I feel like pre-pandemic and everything in work conditions in America are so fucking good. And all I hear is toxic work environment, toxic bosses. Dude, work environments in the United States are so good. It's mind-blowing how actually good work conditions are.
My main two guys at the restaurant are both from West Africa, and they just laugh when they hear this shit, because they're like,
the project manager in there is from Nigeria.
Right.
And he's just like, what the fuck, man?
Exactly.
This is fucking great. Like,
right.
This is the best life I could ever have.
We just need to drop their asses over in Africa for a little bit. And be like, you're gonna do a 3-month internship, and then we'll see how your what tune you're singing when you come back.
I agree, man. It's absolutely.
That's what I tell my kids. I'm like, I'm gonna drop your ass off in Africa every time you complain.
Right.
And fortunately for my kids, and I'm assuming it's the same for the same for yours. Is like they're growing up and seeing, the reality of it all. They're seeing us get screwed by employees, and they're
Well,
seeing
what I don't
really
like,
creates the work.
yeah, what I don't like about it is if you raise them right, which I feel I am, and they're not afraid of the suck, they're not afraid of the grind, they're not afraid of that, and they're ambitious, I feel like they might actually get canceled. They might actually not do well in this society. And that's bothersome to me.
Yeah, but I still like, I tell my kids, I mean, my older two, you know, they're 14 and 11, and I'm like, just straight up tell them to fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
In those words, like,
yeah, so do I.
You don't
go. I tell them to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And go mow my lawn, please.
Yeah. Well, they will be soon. You know, this was brought up to my attention too. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be out of work. I mean, they're going to be mowing your lawn.
I'm saying, you know, like they're going to go fuck themselves, and they're going to go mow my lawn.
Exactly.
Seriously.
They'll be feeding you the popcorn. You won't even have to pick it up with your own hands. You know, the you know, student teacher relationship too. It's happened in college, and college is like, you know, they're a big part of this because they create that shit, because colleges are like,
they are the part.
They're bubbles. They're these little mini universes unto themselves. They got a shit ton of money.
Well, imagine being a professor that cannot get fired.
Right. Oh, it's New York City public school system. You can't get fired. How hard it is to fire a teacher? It's
correct.
Crazy. You literally.
Why are we taking advice from people who literally cannot get fired?
Yeah. But then they've also created this atmosphere where the students, like you said, they become like these empowered customers, and all of a sudden they're telling the teacher like the way things are supposed to go, and that's the beginning of degradation. It is. You're just taking the most important foundational aspects of whatever it is you're building, and you're yanking them right out from underneath the whole thing, not just yourself, but everybody.
There are societal, spiritual, whatever, natural laws, whatever you want to call them, and you can't fucking break them. I'm sorry, you can't. Right. They're there because they're there, and they're how the universe works, not the metaverse, right? Which, by the fucking way, you know, think it's hard to find people to come to work now? Wait till everybody's got a stupid headset on their face, walking around acting like they're hanging out with fucking people. Well, we're fucked.
And this is the thing that I think a lot of people are holding out for. I think people are leaving jobs, especially like, you know, mine, that require some hustle, because they think they're going to walk around with the headset and have like this easy life, and they're going to make great money to just like be on a game, essentially. And I think that bubble's going to pop, and it's going to hurt when it does.
Oh, I know you probably have a break coming up, but I definitely want to talk on that.
Okay.
It ties into employment.
Perfect. So let's take a break, and you can pick right up on that when we get back. Hang tight, everybody. We're going to pop that bubble. All right. Ryan Kovach is up. Tie it all together.
Dude. Okay. So we left off on this whole metaverse thing and all this. Who knows where that's going to go? But we know where it's going to go. Everybody's going to be walking around with stupid headsets on, living in some virtual world without human touch, staying out of the sunlight, all this other stuff. Look, I read a report from a doctor the other day talking about the power of sunshine. And I'll tell you how this ties into employment. The average person that gets 10 hours or more a week of sunshine is like literally almost non-existent on the COVID death charts, on flus, on viral infections, and all kinds of stuff, right? Like the health benefits are through the roof, right? We've got a situation to where I actually was on a podcast that hasn't aired yet, and it was by a employment psychologist. He says he's never been busier with young people coming to him so depressed and so down on their mental health. He said it's epidemic. Okay. And these are part of the people that we're speaking of. It ties into what you said, trying to find themselves. They have gotten into the Instagram world of watching people live in tiny homes or live out in the woods or what the fuck ever they're doing, which is all great. I love all that shit. Now, it's not realistic. It won't, in our modern society, it won't serve you and all that. But hey, good for you trying to go find yourself. In the interim, you're comparing yourself with all these other people. You are beginning to think that there is some dream unicorn job out there that is going to somehow magically, fix your life, fix your world, and bring you all this general happiness. But we know through studies and statistics that even people that believe or that espouse that they're doing what they love are fucking miserable at work. Take, for instance, rock stars who have everything in the world, all the money, all the adoration, all the fame, people waiting on them hand over feet, and everything, commit suicide at such a high rate. It's unfucking believable. We know this about actors. We know this about, all these people that are in the spotlight. Half of the people on Instagram that have these wonderful lives, living in the mountains, doing this with these beautiful bodies and stuff, are on every kind of Adderall and Prozac and everything you can think of in the world. Yet we are trying to do the same thing with our careers. We're trying to find that unicorn career. Now, going back to the metaverse, what we are going to do with this is take mental health to a whole new level of shit with this. People will stay out of the sun more. They will be less healthy physically. They will be more obese, which is harder to fight things like COVID and things of that nature. They will have less physical human touch, which is paramount. We know that from studies dating back 100 years. People that have physical touch from a baby all the way up into their adulthood have healthier lives, more sense of community, more sense of well-being, and better all of this. Jeremiah, the epic fucking crash is coming. The more we isolate, the more we become employees, become customers, and we cater to it, and we remove anything uncomfortable, and we don't embrace the suck, and we put shit over our faces and act like we're really in a room talking to people. The more we do that, the more suicide is going to go through the roof. Death from disease is going to go through the roof, and unhappiness and mental health challenges are just going to skyrocket. This is an absolute disaster. Facebook's been a disaster for society. 90% of all divorces mention Facebook in the filings. It's a disaster.
What do you think that has to do with?
The ease of use to connect with opposite sex, or let's say you're gay, people of the same sex, whatever. The ease of use to connect and voyeurism, and you can immediately identify when somebody's vulnerable and coming right out of a relationship. That's the perfect time for a narcissist to pounce or whatever. The ease of use for private messaging and all of these things where you can literally voyeur into people's lives and know the appropriate time to do things. And it creates an environment of easy cheating, easy, all these things, or being non-existent in the relationship because you're in this stupid fake world over here. Right.
And it looks so pretty, and you're like, oh, things would be so much better.
Yep. Yeah. This sandwich maker over here in my house, she's not even talking to me, but this girl, she's fucking hot. And she likes all of my stuff. She comments. Maybe I should send her a private message, right?
All about them comments, man. And to your point,
if my wife watches this,
sandwich maker,
she knows I make the sandwiches for her. I'm bullshitting on that one.
You're gonna get a dick sandwich in the next couple of days.
She knows I'm the one in there making the sandwiches and bringing them to her, so she knows I'm full of shit on that. But you get what I'm trying to say.
I do.
And it does tie back to employment, because when you're unhappy at home, when you're divorcing, when you're this or when you're that, you bring that shit to work.
Yeah.
This is just an epic domino effect of garbage. And I wish I could shake the world and make them wake up, man.
I got a question for you. This from an employer perspective. So, you know, restaurant industry, service industries, we all know, and it's happened for, you know, decades, attracts like the craziest, you know, seediest, you know, most unstable people from society.
Sure.
But what I've noticed, and like, I mean, I've been a boss, like a manager since the mid 90s. So I've seen, you know, a bunch of people come through the ranks. I've never seen more employees coming through that they're all 20s and 30s that have like serious mental health issues. And they don't have to disclose that to me at any point until now. What happens is they work for me for a while and they have to go away temporarily for something, like maybe their meds got changed or something happened in their life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I had one employee on a New Year's Eve. He was supposed to come to work, and one of our busiest nights of the year, calls me that afternoon. He's in a car service on the way to a psych ward saying that he thinks he's going to kill himself. And I had to like stay on the phone with him until he was
him
like,
off the ledge.
Well, he was on his way, so he already made his effort. And I stayed on the phone with him until he got there. But I was just like, and you know, he disclosed to me at that point like that he was on medication, and then like it just kept happening. But I'm not able to ask. I mean, I feel like that's something that, especially if it's going to be like, you can't come to work for a couple weeks because you're in a psych ward. If your situation is that severe, I feel like that should be something shared. Like if you have, you know, a gimp leg or something, like I'm going to see that. It's going to be obvious. And it doesn't mean like, I'm not going to hire you necessarily.
No, of course.
At least I have like the tools to create an environment for you. And it really like, it put us in a bind in a bunch of times. And I'm like, I feel like this is something I should know, but also it was something that did not happen much back in the day. I mean,
Jeremiah, I know
we self-medicated a lot, but damn, we got
look, let's just be real. You know, at the end of the day, when I was coming up in high school kids showed up in their trucks with gun racks with rifles on the gun rack in their trucks and went into class, and no one thought shit about it. Right. No one's shooting up schools. No one cared. Cops weren't driving in saying, oh my God, a terrorist is here, right? What has happened? I'm going to tell you, and I hope anybody out there listening has been stewing about what I've been saying, which I'm going to post this shit out too, and I know I'm going to get a ton of hate. But I'm going to give you some advice if you're listening to this. Pay very close attention. There are laws of humanity, nature, the universe, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Conan did not become Conan originally. He was the scrawny, weak, sick one. But they put him on the grinding wheel. And he turned and he turned and he grinded and became the biggest force known. Okay. Michael Jordan didn't wake up the way he was. People will tell you he stayed 3 hours after practice. Okay. Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, a good friend of mine, when he went to the restroom and sat down on the pot, took his guitar with him and played his scales. Okay. Anybody that's done anything, there is a level of suffering and grind that has to come with the good. It's the butterfly effect. You know, you die as a caterpillar, go in the womb, and you come back, right? There's a metamorphosis. The mental health epidemic and crisis, don't you find it funny that we're actually in that today, when things are as easy and as they've ever fucking been? Your life is not supposed to be easy. It is supposed to be a series of trials and triumphs, wins and losses, grinds, easy, grind, easy, and obstacles. And I'm not talking about obstacles like they didn't have your vanilla bean frappuccino that morning. I'm talking real obstacles that you have to expect to happen. Yeah. You should expect bad.
Do you know
and then get through them.
Do you know the parable of the butterfly? It's like an old Chinese parable where it got like caterpillar was like the butterfly was trying to come out of the cocoon, and the guy saw it and he helped it out and he opened the cocoon for it and it fell and died.
And it falls and dies because it's not ready.
Yeah, it did not develop the strength it needed to be a butterfly and fly away. Like you're right, you gotta.
It's not ready.
Yeah.
And I want to tell people the reason people get to the highest levels of industry. You spoke about the lady 40 years in. She's very high up at a bank, probably super successful with a huge bank account. But I can assure you, she spent years in the uncomfortable, in the suck, in the grind. She made it through, I guess, what the young people are calling this terrible age of bad bosses and toxic work environments, right?
Right.
Mark my words. Mark my words. There's a crash coming the likes America has never seen. It's coming.
Self-inflicted too, which is the worst
self-inflicted.
part. Yeah. All right, we're going to take one last break and come back, everybody. Hang tight. We'll be back in a minute. So I don't know if I mentioned it the last time you were on, but I started taking MMA classes now. Yeah, we were talking about it, how like I feel like I'm a white belt again. But I have a story I want to tell, but you just made me think of something. And our instructor said this the other day. And this dude is like, he's amazing. He's a great coach. He's been with Henzo for over 20 years. Small, unassuming guy. He will destroy you. And he's just been through it all. And he's always got some strong messages. And he said that the other day, he said, you should make yourself do something uncomfortable at least once a day. Like something you absolutely do not want to do. And I'm like, well, if I came to MMA, then that would not get check off because I don't want to fucking go. But that's precisely why I make myself, because it scares me. And I'm just like, fuck, this is going to be awful. But I just know it's going to chisel me and make me better. But my story, we both have a musical background. And you were mentioning like the most famous musicians and what they go through. So again, being in New York and just neighbors being like top of the talent pool as well. I ended up on a gig with one of my neighbors who is he's a lawyer of all things. But he's had this band, this cover band, this rock and roll cover band. And he's like late 60s. So he grew up around. He grew up in the 60s and 70s and started playing in and just he loves the Stones. He loves he loves he also loves Wilco, which is really interesting. But just classic rock and roll era guy. And so they do a bunch of cover tunes. And he at some point befriended JJ French from Twisted Sister, who's also from New York, and they go way back. And so he invites me to play with this band. His drummer was sick and they needed a sub. And he knew I knew all the tunes. So I came in. It's just like classic rock covers. Sure. And he invited JJ, and JJ gets up with his guitar.
That's epic.
I do a fucking set with Jay French in fucking Midtown Manhattan. And I was just like, you all can have my sticks after this.
I was going to say, and Twisted Sister has an amazing story in New York, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Well, I was just going to say at the end, we're all hanging out. There was an email thread going around too afterwards. And it was my buddy was playing bass, this guy that I played bass with forever. So we were just like, we had been in all these bands. We had toured together. He and I just fucking laid it out. And we were really like driving it. We really like had it locked in. And we were playing Come Together. And it was just so, and I just remember at one point, Jay French is doing a solo and he just turns and looks at us. He's got his back to the audience and he's just like, fuck yeah, boys, fuck yeah. And I'm just like, mind's fucking blown. So after the show, there was like an email going around. And he preemptively just sends us this email saying, thank you guys for showing me that rock and roll could be fun. And I'm like, again. I respond, no, just fun. He didn't say fun again. He said just fun. And I responded back. I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me. Like, you're the, and he goes, Twisted Sister was a job. Don't get me wrong. It was great, but he was like, that shit was fucking work. And I did not enjoy playing music the way I did when I played with you guys. And again, I was just like, and then I quit. Then I literally was like,
but it was a job. And he viewed it as that. And he took his job seriously. And he just viewed it as that.
But he
And
said it
it's
sucked, and look what
yes,
happened to Twisted Sister. I mean, like some of those guys still don't talk to each other. You know,
yes, yes.
crazy.
But
Fucking crazy.
that's what I want to. You're not gonna find
Yeah.
yourself. You're not. So stop. I mean,
The other part I think is cute about it is like, well, all these people are off work, like on government money, finding themselves. I'm like, I got to find myself too every day in my business, working.
yeah, I find myself
working my
walking
dick
into
off.
my office.
Yeah,
You know, and that money that they keep taking from me is going so that you can go fucking find yourself. And I say, go fuck yourself.
Right.
That's uncool. It's not American. It's lazy, and it's poor character. I'm sorry, it just is. Say what it is.
And I think you're right. Like you and I will continue to eat. It's we've had so many great like 80s movie references too that these kids are really gonna have to go do their homework. Like, why they keep talking about popcorn? You and I are gonna sit back and eat the popcorn, like no matter what, like even after this. Like if you find yourself, if you don't, still. It's like jujitsu. It's like that guy that leaves, like he was getting you. And he leaves for like 2 years and you stay grinding and he comes back and he's like, I'm going to get you again.
And you fuck him up.
And you're like, boy, you was never going to get me again.
No. Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, talking about any kind of movie reference. Look, there's no great movie where the hero of the story doesn't have to grind, dissolve a bomb or defuse a bomb or do something. The hero always has to overcome. That's the storyline of any movie, is they go through hardships and they overcome. What this new generation will tell you is, oh, we're going through hardships. We've had a pandemic and blah, 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 and blah, 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 right? The fact of the matter is you're not viewing it the way we're trying to say is you get refined in the fire. Gold can only be purified in fire. You have to go through the fire. What we're saying is you can try to make your life as comfortable as possible. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting a life without drama, a life without sickness, a life without this and that. Where it becomes a problem is when externally you begin to expect the other people in the world to make your life comfortable, and all of that. That's the difference. Self, I can try to make my life as comfortable as possible, but I can't say, Jeremiah, I need you to do that as well. That's where we're going wrong. And I think if we can get some of these guys to see that, you know, the frailty of their thinking, then maybe we can change a life. I know that sounds crazy and cliche, but dude,
no, not at all.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
I mean, so I have my own opinions on this and thoughts on how to reverse it. We've got just a few minutes left now. I want to get yours, but like I think like how in Israel they make all the kids go in the military for 2 years.
Yep.
I think everybody should work in some sort of service as a low end employee, like a fucking dishwasher or something like that.
Agreed.
For like at least 6 months, but preferably longer before you go like to college and like get your degree. You know, like you should be at the bottom just for a little while. Just just to understand what I think it would change everybody's perspective. What we got like 3 minutes left. You got the floor.
Yeah, I think so. Germany does the same thing. When I lived over there in the 90s, and when I was in the military, you had to do 9 months. You had to. Right. I mean, you had to go serve your country, and you had to do something that was service oriented, and it sucked, and it was hard, and it was outside of your, you know, life goals and life plans. Right. That's number one. Number two, as leaders, the leaders need to stop being scared of the cancel culture, and they need to stand their ground, and they need to, because if we genuinely love people and we genuinely care about people, then we will not let them continue down this path. That's what I would say. So if you love somebody, tell them the truth. And even if it's a hard pill to swallow.
No, yeah, right. Leadership has to be honest and not afraid.
Yep.
You know, unfortunately, we've got like these breakthrough motherfuckers like Rogan and Chappelle who are just like, You can say whatever you want. I don't care. I'm good.
Right.
I think more people need to assume that headspace.
I think everybody, whether you're famous or not, should assume that headspace.
Right. Exactly. But they're good examples. Last question, real quick. We got 1 minute. Have you trained with the Death Squad yet since they came to Austin?
No, I have not. It's on my list. I think they're still getting settled in and moved in and all that. But there will be a day that I go get my ass kicked by them.
Nice. And Shanji Hibero is also opening school there.
Yeah, man.
We just on my brother's
show.
Amazing. Yeah, on my brother's show, we just interviewed one of his brown belts. We got to get you on that show at some point too.
Let's do it.
It's all just like jiu-jitsu fighting and really fucking silly. We have a great time. But yeah, Austin's the new San Diego.
Oh, fuck yeah,
fucking
dude.
Crazy, man. Austin,
Texas, baby.
I'm going to get there one day. I promise. Thank you so much for coming on again. Short notice. Always a pleasure, man. We will do it again. The rest of you, have a great week. And, man, get off your lazy asses. Go get a job.
Get to work.
Go get your ass a job. All right. Have a good one. See you, everybody.
See you. Bye.